Welcome back to Pole Barn Garage, where today I have found this 1976 International Scout pickup that's been sitting for quite a long time. Picked this up for $1,000 because I figured it'd make a good little woods buggy for JD, or possibly a post-apocalyptic war machine. This has an incredible amount of erosion. Look at the textures in that. The rust is like a mosaic. The 4-speed. You got brakes?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it.
Really?
Maybe some fluid.
Probably just rusted.
Yeah, probably.
Quart of oil, that's a good sign. It has no clutch, so that's something we're going to have to work at. These things are built like brick shithouses. They've got Dana front ends and rear ends, I believe. This one is the Comanche 4-cylinder. Previous owner, well, he did this to the hood. I didn't do that. But at least we can see that it is the 4-cylinder. I really wish he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
The hood was the only good thing on the whole truck. I think it's going to rain again. It's been very wet around here lately. So why don't we just push it in the shop and then we'll start working on it there.
Yeah.
Maybe a little easier. Well, we were just getting ready to drag it off, but we realized there's no key, so you can't turn the steering wheel. I think it's just a GM column. So we should be able just to pull the steering wheel, pull the lock plate, and then be able to turn the wheel freely. Yep. GM column. Put my lock plate puller on, get this lock plate off, then she'll be able to turn. No problem. God, it's hot in here. That window does not roll down, does it? See, I don't think we want keys anyway, because it's going to be like an apocalypse vehicle, you know? You wouldn't want keys, you just want like a push button. Let's try again. I just pulled the tail lights out of it and just going to shove it up in the garage just to make it easy. Don't really care about beating that one up. Taking air?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Doesn't need tires at all.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I did crack out some body filler. Dang. Oh, it's got Bondo in it, JD. We're just going to scrap it.
Okay.
Just taking air. They don't make them like they used to, boy.
Until it explodes.
Yeah, don't put too much in there.
That's good. Good? Yep, that's good.
That is kind of concerning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Starter in the bed. Well, I guess we got to get the hood open to figure out what that's about.
Yeah.
I don't think the guy knew where the hood release is in these. This is the hood release on a Scout. Yeah, there it goes. What an idiot. Alright, put the prop rod in there. There you go. We can straighten this hood. I got the key to turn. I was just messing with it while we were waiting for the camera to quit fogging up. And I just shoved a screwdriver into it. It turns, but it doesn't. It turns all the way around, like it's not doing anything. I'm hoping to just remove the whole cylinder, and this is the kind that you can remove from the outside as long as you can get it in the accessory position. If we can just use this to turn on ignition power and then just use a push button,
yeah,
that's it, and then we'll have our wipers and everything else. Alright, I wonder if the motor's stuck. Oh. No, she rolls, dude.
Good.
Rolls good. God, how long has this been sitting? That sticker says 98 in Colorado. It's been sitting a while, that's for sure. Take a look under here. Oh my God. Oh, it's rusted, dude. Oh, it's got an extra brace that bolts it to the engine.
Oh, that's cool.
There is a mouse nest in there we'll have to suck out.
Yeah.
It looks really good though. Does it move? It sticks. We'll have to lube it up. But it does move. My other concern with the truck, other than the fact that the starter isn't on it, is clutch linkage. The clutch just flops. However, this is not a hydraulic clutch or a cable. It's just a Z-bar, so hopefully something's just fallen off of it. We'll have to get under there and look. Let's go ahead and jack it up, bud. I'm going to have you on the starter. I'm going to look at the clutch linkage.
Okay.
See what's going on.
Yeah.
Whew. Not much room in there, is there? Think you can get it in?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, what's up with the clutch linkage? Well, it is hooked up. Can I get you to go push the clutch? It's working. Yeah, push it. Yeah, it's working.
Maybe it's just like that.
I guess it just feels really soft. The pedal doesn't stay down, does it? Well, that's fixed. All right, put a starter on it. Let's start it up. It was not fixed. So, you know, the cool thing about this is it's half of an International V8. Even the oil pan's the same, that one cylinder head is the same, the exhaust manifold is the same, even it's half of the intake. The whole thing is just an International V8 cut in half. You go ahead and just put that really lightweight starter up there. It doesn't weigh anything at all.
Nope.
No?
It's supposed to go in.
I did a starter on a 76 International Scout.
Yeah.
With a 345 in it. And I remember, this was over 10 years ago, and I still remember how bad it sucked. Oh, I think you got it.
Yep, I got it.
Fuck yeah. You gotta do like 1/8 of a turn at a time on these things. I remember this clear as day. You always remember the painful ones, but we do have a couple of bolts started in it, so see us in about 45 minutes, and we'll have this starter attached.
I'm gonna spread this card linkage down.
I'm finishing hooking up the starter wiring. Well, should we see if it lights on fire? It might just start cranking. I don't know what position that key's in.
Out and crank.
Okay. Key switch isn't moving the ignition switch, but let's just see if it winds over. Just gonna jump the solenoid. That'll work. I can't, this probably isn't the best connection, but let's pull the ignition switch off the column, because otherwise we have to figure out how to power this strange electronic ignition it has. I'd like to just get it, you know how I always do it, to pull them off and we just push it with a screwdriver. That'd be fine. Well, you do the easy work. I'll hunt for money. We got a penny. 1970. What he's doing is pulling the ignition switch off at the top of the column in there. And if we weren't lazy, we would just drop the column. But that's too much work. So you're just going to kind of push up and get it off of that rod. There she is. Just a GM ignition switch. Cool. Let me get a screwdriver.
Okay.
That's how you steal a car without tearing something up. I mean,
Go ahead.
oh, dude, the radio came on. It's trying. Nothing else works. We'll throw a new fuel filter on it, 2 little scraps there, and probably change, there's probably a rubber hose going to the fuel pump. So why don't we just take it off the fuel pump, and we'll just run a rubber hose to a boat tank.
Alright.
I mean, there is gas in the tank. It's not, I can smell it anyway. Smell it. Give her a sniff. That's bad. Let's not even go there. let's just leave that right there, and we'll go boat tank. We've learned our lesson. Yep. Took a while, but we did.
There's already holes in the floor. We can just run it right there. So.
Absolutely. JD's throwing a new fuel filter on. I've got the line disconnected from the fuel pump, which probably isn't going to work, but hey, let's try it anyway. Yanking the air cleaner, the weirdly bolted down air cleaner.
It's for durability.
And I need to make a fuel line hole back here. You might have thought there would be enough rust holes here, but only in the back, nothing in the front, so we'll have to make one. Stick this rubber hose through that razor sharp metal. It'll be just fine. Run it off that tiny boat tank. Got the air cleaner off?
Yeah. Choke wasn't hooked up. That'll run now.
This boat tank had a clicky clack on it. So why don't we hook it in line here and just use it to prime this fuel pump, if nothing else. I mean, it's going to give that mechanical pump its best shot if it can kind of start off full of fuel, you know what I mean? We'll just run it off the drill battery. No, it's leaking really badly.
Clamp's not tight enough?
Just not. Oh, it's stripped.
Oh.
Alright, take 2, now that everything's covered in gasoline. Let's make sparks.
Yeah.
Nothing?
No. Oh, there we go.
It is?
There was a little bit, yeah. A dribble. Keep doing it.
Where's the fuel inlet at? Definitely spraying gas in there. Got a good pump squirt. So let's see if it'll start. If it won't, then we need to check spark.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen an ignition system like this before, I don't think. It looks like it's got some kind of control box here, some kind of control box here, coil. I don't know, I just wonder what triggers it. I wonder if it uses points to trigger it. Actually, obviously all the wiring to the coil has been just butchered. So that would be a place to start as well. Wow. Wow, I gotta bring you guys in to see this. I don't know if I've ever seen a rotor that corroded before. It's stuck too. This is some kind of water shield or something to protect what, I wonder. There. Convenient, they have a little work tray here for your smokes and parts. Is that a Prestolite ignition? Is that what this is? Is that what I'm thinking of? No points. It's a reluctor wheel. And it looks like a Hall effect type, maybe? Let's just clean it up. These are usually pretty solid, I think. All I'm going to try to do here is just clean up the distributor shaft, which is iron, and it's so it creates a magnetic field. This is powered. It sees these iron flags slip by it, and then that triggers it and tells the coil to fire. So we just clean everything up a little bit, put it back together, hope for the best. Might as well make sure that advance plate's moving in there. So I sprayed a little lube down in there. Now it's moving fairly free, I think. The vacuum advance plate is froze, but well, we can. Oh, nope, there it goes. There it goes. That free-all is some powerful stuff, man. The cap isn't much better, so I'll clean it up, but it's kind of interesting. You can see it's just the 8-cylinder cap with 4 of the poles removed, and even the nubs are still in here. They're all still there. They just don't have any contacts on them. I have a feeling that it very well might have been that rotor. Let's cross our O's and dot our P's and see if we got power on the coil with the key in the run position. This looks like a mess. Not gonna lie, is this a wire nut threaded onto the coil? It would appear to be so. Wow. That doesn't even thread on there. Okay, well maybe we fix a few things, but let's at least make sure the car is sending power there. Also, they're powering the electric choke off the coil. That's a big no-no. I don't know. Somebody's been here and they were very confused. And we do have power on the coil, so that's a good thing. Next thing to do would be to check for spark out of the coil. However, where that wire nut was threaded onto it, that pole is destroyed on it. So I know I've got an extra coil around here somewhere. Let's just swap the whole shebang out, put a new coil on it just for starters. Then we know that at least that's not a problem. Whoa. Well, it's unhooked. I'm gonna leave the choke unhooked because you're really not supposed to power that off of the coil. That's supposed to have its own power source. Now, that could be factory, hell, I don't know. But let's isolate it for now. I've spliced that together, got rid of the wire nut. This is the discharge side of the coil wiring. This is the hot side. This has power on it. So we'll do that. If that still doesn't work, I do have an ignition control box we could throw at it. A new coil on there, a little less butchery going on. Let's see if that does any good with the cleaned up rotor and ignition parts. Pumping gas. There's the ignition control module, and I've got a new one here. This has a plug on it. That doesn't. I bet it's supposed to, but it seems to be suspiciously wrapped in lots of electrical tape. I'm gonna guess that this is all kind of boogered up in here, and yep, it's been all taped together, although I think soldered and heat shrinked, so not a terrible repair. I don't know if there's anything really wrong with that, but we'll change it anyway. I did notice this plug on the firewall is unplugged. What does he do? Who knows? It's just kind of hanging out here. It's got a lot of stuff going to it. Looks important. I just go in blind on these things, so I guess I'll just plug it back in and see what happens. I managed to get that plugged back in. I had to pull the heater duct out from under the dash, and just to be able to poke it through and plug it together. See what that does. But I'm going to go ahead and replace this anyway. However, this was a really good repair. Professional repair, I'd say. Got all that patched in. It's just some heat shrink butt connectors. I got to tighten it down yet, but let's see what happens now. I did notice whatever the hell this thing is seems to be relatively important. I don't know what it is, but it does have a wire going to that ignition control module. Maybe it's a ballast resistor? Oh man, what the hell is this thing? It has a ground on it. Looks pretty bad. Clean it off and hope for the best. What is this? See if that did anything at all. Probably not. Whoa, what was that? Something just did something. I guess it's got power because I hooked that plug up. I don't know. Or it's about to explode. We'll find out. Well, that did it, and the throttle's stuck wide open, but it runs. Didn't sound too bad either. Well, we know it runs now, so I'll probably go ahead and drop the oil on it, and maybe figure out why the throttle sticks wide open. That could be important. Well, I don't have an oil filter on hand. I thought I did. It's too late now to go get one. And I have some plugs, and probably could scab together 4 spark plug wires. So let's just make sure the thing's good. I think I know why the gas pedal was sticking. It was just getting caught on this rubber mat, I think. So probably tear all that out too, clean everything up real good. Maybe get the seat out of the floor. That could be a start as well. You know what I mean? Freaking mud daubers. Millions of them. I'm a big believer that you shouldn't do things like plugs and wires until you know something works. So that's why I waited till after I heard it run to do it. Well, at least that one looks absolutely beautiful. But I've got new ones, so I might as well throw them in, I guess. Number 2 looks terrific as well. Might have a good little 4-cylinder. We're 50% of the way there. Now this one kind of disintegrated, but the electrode looks really nice, no oil. 3 out of 4. You'll note that I'm using very nice Mallory Sidewinder plug wires on this, and that's because it's the only thing I had that was worth using. There's a bunch of broken spark plug ceramic down in that hole, and a bunch of poop on the engine. I'm going to take a minute and go ahead and vacuum everything before I continue. Well, I broke the number 3 plug putting it in, so I ran out of new spark plugs. So that number 4 plug is fine, guaranteed. I just left it alone, left it in there. This is probably not very smart, but I would like to start it up and see if it has any kind of clutch. Again, I don't want to run it too long with that nasty oil, but you know, I don't want to waste a good oil change on something I got to pull a clutch out of. And a clutch for this is like 500 bucks. Well, alright, it tried to move. Push the clutch pedal down. It still tried to move. So that clutch works because it's moving the truck, but the linkage, I don't know, something's wrong. Pull the inspection cover off here. I have a suspicion the clutch fork is falling off. Is that? Yuck. You see, the clutch fork has not fallen off. It's working, but it's not pushing on anything. The pressure plate is frozen, maybe? Something's stuck. Let me pull off this inspection cover and get to the front of the clutch that way. Maybe I can whack it a little or something. Will that let me get to the clutch, or will that let me just look at the flywheel? Seems like something that might free up if we just kind of drove the thing around. Now this inspection cover seemingly lets me do nothing, but I can get a little bit of a look at the clutch disc, and I get my fingers up on it. It actually, I mean, there is clutch left, so that's something. Maybe I take a pry bar to that and see if I can get it unstuck, or if it doesn't, then we'll just let nature do its thing. Which by that I mean rev it up real high in neutral and shove it into a gear. Well, it moved some. I don't know if it was enough or if it's no longer engaged. Not totally sure. Sure. Did something. Something is happening now. But I just don't think I should be able to move that by hand necessarily. I could adjust that so it pushes more. Something moved in there. I just don't know what. I don't really know what I'm doing, if that's obvious. It usually is. Yep, still feels like absolutely nothing. Maybe wishful thinking. But I crank on it neutral a little bit. And put it in gear. Clutch in. Oh no, that's just it slipping. I think that used to be Flywheel. I don't know what's going on here. I maxed out the clutch throw here, and it's still not doing anything. I ordered a clutch, and they're freaking expensive, and I really hope I ordered the right one, because it's an international, so there's 15 different clutches depending on what day it was of the week. This is above my pay grade, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I just had Jess hit the clutch, and it's kind of pushing, but it's like it's just frozen. I guess I'll just pause on this for now. I have to get some tires put on the thing and then just try to bomb it around the yard. Today's video is brought to you by Brunt. These are the Brunt Marin style boots. I've been wearing them. They are super comfortable. Here's the thing I like about Brunt, is they come broke in, basically. You guys know what I mean. If you've ever worked trades, blue collar stuff, you know that it'll take you a year to wear in a pair of boots to the point that they're comfy. I put these on out of the box and instantly comfortable. Brunt is a really good kind of small company. They set out to make a working man's boot that a working man can afford. But the other day when I first got them, it was raining real hard, so I wanted to see how waterproof they are. They are absolutely waterproof. My toesies are warm and cozy. So you can go to bruntworkwear.com/PBG10. You can save $10 off your order over $60, which will $10 off a pair of boots, basically. Just use code PBG10. I'm super impressed with the Marin style boot. Brunt is a great company. You guys know I don't take sponsorships that I don't believe in, and they are definitely one that I do. So thanks to Brunt for sponsoring this video. I've returned today. I don't really know what to do about the clutch situation, so I will proceed to do nothing. Let's pull the wheels and tires off of it, put some new tires on it. I had just hit the brakes in it last night while I was under there, and the right front brake works in this. So that's good enough. The brakes are done. Yep. That one actually had air in it. Yes, this is going to make that brake work. Hell, it actually might. It might just be packed full of shit. This is more about pest control than cleaning them. I bought these tires for that Mercury station wagon about a month ago, and well, they're not exactly all-terrain. They'll work for now. At least they'll hold air. And they won't sit around collecting water, becoming mosquito habitats. I suspect these are not going to be very cooperative. Alright, all our wheels and tires are mounted professionally by a certified technician. No, I'm not. GD said these wheels were kind of grabbing on the back here, like when it was rolling in, they weren't really rolling. Let's disassemble the hardware inside of these drums, and then we just won't have rear brakes, because this truck's never seeing the road again, I can tell you that. Does seem there's truck falling off all over the place. Maybe I could just break it. baby is stuck. That one seems to roll pretty good. Well, actually, no it doesn't. It gets real tight. Let me see if I can get this one off. It moves. It may not be so hard. That one come off pretty clean. Yeah, it's just full of crap in there. I'm just going to rip everything out of it. Oh, well, these tires are kind of lame. And also, I think there's a rust hole around the valve stem on this one. So I packed it full of silicone. Copper silicone, because it's all I had. This whole thing is just kind of being built out of whatever I have laying around. And that's generally how I prefer to do things anyway. So I guess it's no different. One interesting thing about these, there's actually 2 drains on the oil pan because it has a divot in it for the 4x4 axle. So you drain the front and the rear to get all the oil out. So look how they position that filter so you can actually get to it. That's nice of them. Little thought went into that. Ah. Well, oops. Well, the good news is it's pretty clean. No water. That's good. Alright, new filter on there. Let's fill it up with some fresh oil. What we're using for oil is this Country Tough 30 weight oil that I found for $8 a gallon at the local farm store. And we're going to add some zinc with this engine oil booster, BFL. I don't know what that means, but someone was kind enough to send in a whole case of this stuff. It even has pull tabs on it, like an old beer can. Ah, yes. But what it is, actually, if you read the can, it's just zinc. You know, it's not a performance enhancer. It's just ZDDP, which is great because modern oil doesn't have it. So I say it's good enough for that Scout, probably. Well, let's get this cleaned up. Shove a 4x4 block under the seat or something to hold it back up into place. I think the gas pedal's fine to do what we need to do. Hopefully the damn thing still runs. Oh, it'd be pretty cool if this door would open over here too, but, well, you know, you can't have everything. I'll just close that. I mean, I don't have to look at it. What's this? Oh, some kind of rubber. Yeah. Yep, we don't need any of that crap. Having no back window is pretty handy. Alright, and the seat is now fixed. It's totally fine. Nothing to be concerned about at all. Let's put it on the ground. Lists a little to the driver's side, you know, starboard. I don't know if that's right or not, but yeah, this truck's kind of screwed. See if it's got any water in it. I don't think so. Not totally empty, so that's good. I tried to start this thing last night just for fun, and it would not start, so hopefully it has recovered. It's not cranking fast enough, and the reason for that is probably because the transmission's engaged, so it's trying to turn everything. I think I screwed up when I started it up and I didn't let it run for a little bit. Let me yank this ground cable and take a look at it. I mean, I just kind of assumed it was alright. It didn't look bad, but let's pull it off and clean it up, maybe. Clean that up. I put a new end on this. Maybe, I mean, they look fine. You can't see here through the mildew. The Jess is in there. I'm going to have her crank, and I will modulate the throttle and some brake clean and try to force this thing to start. It's either the clutch is stuck to the transmission and it won't crank fast enough because of that, or the starter is bad out of the box, which wouldn't surprise me a bit. Then we could try putting another starter on it. Or it could roll it out of here, put it in first gear, and then have Jess drag me around the yard until it starts. Maybe it'll start while I do this. It almost did. Over.
Bye.
Oh, kind of brakes. I'm going to prime up the fuel system, just in case. I'm pretty sure it's pumping, but just in case. This is going to be real tricky, because the brakes, it did actually stop, but barely. If it starts, I am going to have to very quickly shove it into neutral, or I will drive straight into the back of the truck. Key is on. Clutch is doing nothing. It started. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing to unstick. Go to gear. Come on, baby. Runs really good. I wish it just... It wouldn't let me put it in gear. I was trying to put it in any forward gear, it won't even grind. But it won't let me put it in reverse at all, which makes sense. But it was grinding reverse. I was hoping I could start it in gear and then be able to take off. I got to get this stupid clutch to unstick, and then this thing would probably drive, damn it. It runs great. You know, this is a problem for tomorrow, I think. Let's go watch the fireworks. It's 4th of July. And we'll come back to this tomorrow. It has occurred to me that I could have had Jess push the truck and then it would have started. So that's what we're going to do. I have forgotten that I am not overly concerned with the condition of the body of this truck. So I'm going to have Jess drive into the back of this. I'll leave it in first. We'll get it started again, since that starter will not wind this over fast enough. I'm going to drive it around and see if that freaking clutch or pressure plate or whatever's stuck will break free. Scout. It runs so good. I don't want to pull the freaking transmission out of it. It runs great. I got nothing. Damn it. This thing is badass. You don't even gotta touch the gas. It just drives itself. It's a low-geared little sumbitch. Listen to that thing run, man. Not a noise, no smoke.
I love the towel. It's just hanging on.
My brilliant plan didn't quite work out, did it?
I'm getting dizzy.
I guess I'll pull it back in the shop, and I guess we got to pull the transmission on it so we can check out that pressure plate. Which is bizarre considering I'm doing this. Probably ought to do that before that tire goes flat up. Bummer. I don't think it's going to unstick itself though. Unfortunate. Got to pull the transfer case, both drive shafts, bell housing. It is leaking a little coolant out of that lower radiator hose and then out of the overflow there. But that's why I didn't want to just keep driving it around in circles. I mean, I guess technically it probably would break free eventually, but you know, I don't want to cook this thing. It runs so good. Got her up in the air. Let's see what we're working with. Obviously, got to pull the prop shafts out of it. Gonna have to throw a block under the engine to hold it up. Transmission cross member most likely gonna have to come out. I bet. Oh, this has a panel you can remove out of the floor. Yeah, just a bunch of Phillips screws. Pull that panel off. That'll let us get some access to things, I bet. You know, some of you might wonder why I'm going through the trouble on something that is just so severely screwed as this truck. Thing is, I just like it. It has a little bit of character. It kind of talks to me. You know, anybody else would scrap it, and I don't want to. So that's part of it. The other part is, I really think I could use a Doomsday vehicle, and I can't think of anything that'd be better for that than a rotted piece of crap International Scout. That does allow me quite a bit of access here. So there's our transfer case bolts here if we have to remove it. I'm sure we really ought to. It'll also let us get to the top two transmission bolts a lot easier. Well, that U-joint is smoked. Should probably change that at the same time, but I won't. Got the U-bolts off the drive shaft. Drop it out. Here's something you'll inevitably learn the hard way if you haven't already. Wrap your U-joints in a little bit of tape, and then the caps won't fall off and all the needle bearings won't fall out of them. Save yourself some trouble later. I have the engine supported with an OSHA-approved wooden block. We've got drive shaft kind of sits on this exhaust pipe. I'm going to try to leave the transfer case attached. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, so I'm going to drop the transmission cross member and get a better look at it. See if I can get my transmission jack in to hold the whole shebang up. That would at least save us a little bit of work, maybe. But if I have to pull it off, I'll pull it off. There we go. As long as I don't got to cut any of them, I'll be happy. It'd be really, really cool if this didn't fall on me and kill me. Oh my god. Alright, speedo cable is hooked. Tuck him up in here, he's out of the way. Trans jack is in. Now we got to get these 4 nuts out of the inside of that hole there. Kind of a silly way to do that. I don't know. Strange. This will separate the transmission and transfer case from the bell housing. And then we can just kind of work on this as one unit, which will be kind of nice. That's all there was to it. I think that's true. Now, is it going to fall off, or is it going to be cool with that transmission jack? Let's find out. Will I die this time on Pull Barn Garage? I hate that the lowering device for this transmission jack is under the transmission. Why wouldn't you just make it so you can twist the handle, you know, out of the way of death? But yeah, it's Harbor Freight. So pulling her out while she's still warm and fresh. You know, it's your International Scout transmission, hot out of the oven. Well, I don't think I need to actually remove the whole transmission. I think it can just hang out there. I can unbolt the bell housing, slide it back, and then be able to get to the clutch, since I think we can get away with that. Let's get the bell housing unbolted from this thing. The bell housing's about ready to come off. Now you watch. I'll probably pull all this apart and then the son of a bitch will unstick. That'll be my luck. That's a bell housing. God bless, it's heavy. It freed up part of it. This clutch looks fine. It's a replacement for sure. I mean, it's, you know, it's not great, but you can tell it's just rusted to it. The only part that's nicked up is where I beat on it. And I think the pressure plate released, I think. It's just super, super rusty up in there. Maybe we just clean it all off and put it back together and maybe it'll work. The only thing I would say is I can't move this pressure plate. I just tried jumping on it. I think I wash everything up, clean it up, try to get this thing freed up. Probably work. We've gone this far, and I don't trust this to save my life. There may be nothing wrong with it at all. So I called up a buddy of mine, Zane, you've seen him in some videos, and his grandpa, sure enough, had a brand new old stock clutch, pressure plate, and throwout bearing just laying around. So I bought that off of him. He'll be running it by here in a few hours. In the meantime, I'm going to resurface that flywheel professionally, and maybe we actually look at the brakes. Maybe. Yeah, I was able to put a new valve stem in this wheel. This one, I don't know, I guess even though it's kind of oblonged with the rust and whatnot, this one's sealed up, so I'm not going to argue with it too much. I did order a set of mud tires for it too. I don't know if those will be here in time for this video, but we'll see. Flywheel doesn't look that bad, it's just rusty. Well, let me demonstrate how not to resurface it. Key to using a DA is keep it as flat as possible and try to make that thing shiny. And just like that, we have a brand new flywheel. Waiting on clutch stuff, so may as well dig into the brakes and make more problems. I actually have everything, so let's just change the front stuff, the hoses, calipers, and pads, and maybe a master cylinder. I have no idea how, but this brake line actually came loose. Judging by the condition of the rest of the truck, I assumed almost certainly it was not going to do that. Ford brakes, so they have the little drift key that goes in there. This one kind of stripped out immediately. Vice grip scutter broke free. A legally acquired railroad spike makes a pretty good chisel in a pinch. This doesn't fit in there. The tabs are made too wide on it. It doesn't want to fit in the caliper bracket, unless I'm just being dumb. I may just put the old one back in. It don't work. It sure shit ain't gonna move in there, that's for sure. Unless I ground those down, then maybe, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. The old ones look pretty good. We'll just put them back in. The outer pad fits fine, so we'll use that. You know, one old, one new. Perfect. That's compromise. Conveniently, the new calipers came with the wrong banjo bolt. So I robbed the old banjo bolt out, and I'm pretty sure it'll work. You can see that the old one is about an inch shorter. Yeah, that's not going to work. We'll clean it up, throw it in. Alright, there's one down. Cool thing about this side, it's got a banjo bolt at the top, and this little union here to split it. So no worry about a brake line on the driver's side. You just take a banjo bolt out, put it back. Some new copper washers. That doesn't look like the right one, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And it's a shorter collar, which, as I understand it, this is for a V8, the shorter collar. The longer one's for the 4-cylinder. But regardless of that, neither one fits. And the actual bearing is a little bit different as well. I don't know. It bolts to it. So maybe using the shorter collar, because these fingers definitely stick out further, but I don't know. I mean, that kind of seems like it would work, I guess. I don't have a clutch alignment tool for this, so we're just gonna make one. We're gonna wrap this on real tight. I've never done this, but I guess we'll see if it works. We're gonna need a lot of tape for this. Does it work? I'm glad we have this flywheel to test it on here. This works, but it's kind of wiggly. I think I got the right one coming tomorrow. Why don't we just wait for it? While you were making that, I pulled off the old master cylinder, broke one of the brake lines. The only one we need, actually, of course. So we're gonna have to make a little brake line, bench bleed the new master cylinder, throw it on, we can bleed the brakes. Then at least that would be done. I finished brakes. JD will replace the radiator hoses, which are leaking. At least we can make some forward progress. You about to dump it?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh
I'm
boy.
gonna go up there and just pull it off.
JD.
Shoot!
I told you. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
One new brake line, flared up, ready to go. Alright, let's bench bleed this thing. At least we can get one system of the truck working. Well, not quite. Half of one system of the truck working, but that's 100% of what I wanted. Got our new Chinesium master cylinder on here. We'll hook up our new brake lines. I don't have this hose, and it's definitely leaking as well. This one looks a little better. Maybe we could use it to replace that, maybe? Or if nothing else, I think we could probably at least replace the clamps. You may need to trim it yet, but we'll find out here in a minute. A little bit better radiator cap than that one laying around. Slap him on here. Alright, ready to bleed some brakes?
Yeah.
Well, just the fronts. Unfortunately, the left to right brake line has a hole in it, which is, I guess I shouldn't be surprised at that. But sure enough, I have a brake line in stock that's more than long enough. It's got the right fittings on either end. Good to go. That's why I buy all. If you try to buy them, too late. I already bought them on Holly's clearance. Any random brake line kits on there, they're like $5 for, you know, half a dozen brake lines. It's perfect for this kind of thing. Yeah, so just get that thing bent into shape and we'll just run it our own way. Yeah, that's pretty professional. Alright, they're bled, they work. Good enough. Alright, let's pick up and clean all this up before we gotta get under it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, the place is all cleaned up. We will resume tomorrow when we have the correct clutch alignment tool, hopefully.
Yep.
And if not, then we'll find something else to do on it. Well, we got a clutch alignment tool. It's not the right clutch alignment tool, but we were able to shave it down with the super scraper to make it pretty much work. Seems like it'll work anyway. So the only part that was different was the spline diameter. O'Reilly doesn't list the correct one for a Scout, go figure. So let's put it in the truck. We'll try our new pressure plate and mount the bell housing and stuff and see if we can make the clutch work. And if we can, then we can go ahead and install everything. Our clutch is in. Now let's put our pressure plate on. Let's go ahead and torque it to the proper spec. Yeah. Since that's installed, let's go ahead and try to put our bell housing on. So, bell housing's on, but we can use our old throwout bearing here with the longer sleeve. The V8 uses a shorter sleeve, which is what this clutch and pressure plate assembly is from. And if it's in here, it will move the pressure plate, but only if the clutch is completely maxed out. So if we max out that adjustment rod, it will move that pressure plate about 1/4 of an inch, which might be like just barely enough to do it. But I think at the end of the day we have the wrong pressure plate, and I think the pressure plate needs to be taller. I think that the original one is taller, isn't it? Here's the thing, I ordered parts from, if we want to try to put this back together, we need to try the old pressure plate.
Alright.
So let's take this all back apart. Let's clean up the old pressure plate real well, and we can test it just like we've been testing this. And I'm going to go ahead and professionally resurface this just in case it works. Off comes the bell housing again. So we're all reassembled with all the original crap. That clutch is on the floor, isn't it? And it's not even a gate.
It's on the floor right now.
So it's no different. It's exactly the same. So here's our throwout bearing and sleeve, right? Put him on the clutch fork up here. He slides in, and I can't pushing it up. Like, that's the floor. The other clutch probably would have worked. Well, or I don't know, or neither one of them works. I don't know what the problem here is. Look at that clutch fork. See it?
Yeah.
It's got a bolt going through it. I wonder if it rotates.
Oh.
If it rotated, we could make it shove into the... God, I swear to God, if that was the problem the entire time. Well, it wasn't the fork thingy inside of the transmission. It's keyed on there. It only goes on one way.
All the way.
It's on the floor. And it's not even making contact, hardly. Which is what it was doing before, which made me think the pressure plate was stuck. So here's what I've determined. This rod that actually actuates the clutch fork needs to be shorter. I don't know if it's the wrong one or something's wore out or what, but currently the clutch pedal is all the way up, right?
Yep.
Okay. If you push the clutch right now, is it hard to push or
I mean, it
just feels
like a clutch.
It is moving the pressure plate. Let off. Hit it. Whoa. Well, you get the idea.
Yeah.
This thing looks kind of homemade to me. It needs to be about 2 inches shorter, is the problem. So we're going to go to the hardware store, get some all thread and a clevis, and see if we can make our own adjustable rod and just force the thing to work. Well, our hardware store is basically useless, and they didn't have any clevises. But they did have these cheap turnbuckles. Oh my God, it works. That is compressed. It's pushing the pressure plate. The clutch is disengaged. It is. It works.
Nice.
It works. Oh my God. Now we're gonna have to recenter the clutch with the centering tool.
Okay.
But double nutted with a little red Loctite on a piece of crap aluminum turnbuckle. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah. Okay, well, it's perfectly fine. I'm glad I pulled this transmission for no reason. Let's go ahead and put it back in. I hope that clutch is still lined up half-ass. People ask a lot, like, why don't I have a lot of manual transmission vehicles? This is one reason. They're kind of a pain in the ass. You know, I could have it automatic in and out of this thing in about 20 minutes. I think that the clutch alignment tool we made is a little off, or maybe when we pressed the clutch, it fell out of alignment earlier. So I think we get to take it all back apart, realign the clutch. This little truck is about 30 minutes of work, and then it's getting filled full of tannerite. I like it. Sometimes we have to kill the things we love. And it's our fault for pressing the clutch after we recentered it. That's a big no-no. This alignment tool I have is pretty close, and it can slide in and out nice and free. We put a little grease on the end to make sure it was getting into the pilot bearing, and it is. Gotta modify the transmission jack on the fly. Look, I'm smarter than Harbor Freight. I have never had a transmission fight me as bad as this piece of shit. Stupid ass design piece of garbage that this International is. No wonder they quit making these things.
JD and I fought this thing for hours, all through the night, and we could not get that transmission to spline.
I can see the splines in there. They're just not... Well, it's centered. It's working. Everything is the same as every other goddamn transmission I've done in my life, which is a lot. This is back out, you might notice. Still lined up perfect in there. I can see it from here. It looks perfect. There's no reason this shouldn't be going in. But if we can make it a little easier on ourselves, maybe by separating the transfer case and trying again, maybe it'll be a little better. Definitely easier to balance. And the last bolt to separate this transfer case, and of course it's hidden in the back, going the opposite direction of all the other bolts. I'm beginning to really realize that International had probably like, what, one engineer and not a very good one? As you can see, it's now further away from the truck than it's been the whole time. And that's because it will not come apart. I've never had this much trouble with any vehicle. If you want a Scout, I would suggest you reconsider. There it went. It had to be like, perfectly straight to come off. It couldn't possibly have any variance in it whatsoever. It's that much out of our way.
Yeah.
Also, it was completely dry, by the way, so now we fill it up before it goes back in. Here's the deal. We're getting some ratchet straps tomorrow, a new transmission jack, and then we're going to try to put this stupid transmission in this stupid truck.
Oh, yeah, we had to put ratchet straps on because when he was pulling it out, it just broke.
Yeah, we were
Really close.
seconds away from that snapping and falling off. Let's get a little heavier duty one. Or maybe
two.
Maybe the transmission jack will come with something other than that useless chain that doesn't do anything.
Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to find out because that truck almost literally killed me.
It wins. I woke up this morning. I just feel like a death. Fever, and I don't know, some kind of flu or maybe hantavirus from that rat-infested piece of shit. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to do it on this video because I'm probably going to need a couple days to, be alive. So, see you next time on Pole Barn Garage. We're not done with the Scout. We'll finish it.
Yeah, right, fish.